How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on ES. A small win, essentially almost a break even trade. Really was just looking for some continuation. Didn't quite get it. So we were stopped out before we hit our take profit. But we'll get into that trade, what I was looking for, and more. Coming into the day, let's take a look at the 15-minute. ES had all-time highs in the after hours and pre-market. Just formed this range. Really, I was looking for a break out of this pre-market range. NQ, not quite as strong. Didn't quite get to, this was all-time high, so didn't quite get there in the after hours. And then we're kind of sort of trending down. So in a bit of a range, but that range is trending down in terms of lower lows and a failure to break higher. So ES was a little stronger coming into the day. Now as we opened, I'm going to turn these back on. As we opened, we got a little move to the upside, followed by some chop on ES, and then we dropped back down into this range. NQ is a little weaker. NQ broke initially down below this pre-market range and then recovered. So the first trade that I was looking for on NQ was this break, retest, and continuation down. Same trade that I took yesterday, right? NQ is relatively weaker. It breaks below that pre-market range. It comes up to retest, and then we look for continuation down. However, we didn't get that. And so the reason I didn't take this is because you see we broke and closed below on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, 2-minute, everything's good there. But then on the retest, we just moved right up to it. We moved right up and closed right near that pre-market low. Then we rejected, so there's no real sign here. Then we broke above and closed above. And then we started to hold this pre-market low. So we were kind of rejecting off the 13 EMA here. If we had closed back below the pre-market low and then retested, I probably would have taken a short, but we didn't get that. We held the pre-market low, which kept me away from shorting here. Likewise, on the 5-minute, we broke below and then we closed right back above and then started to hold that pre-market low support level on the 5-minute as well. So multiple time frames kind of telling me not to try to take a short there. I'm glad I didn't, because we moved right back up and formed new highs on the day. At this point, once we started to hold this low and it didn't look like NQ was going to be weak after all and was going to recover, I turned back to ES, and I thought that, well, if we're looking at a market that wants to move up, ES is relatively stronger, so that's the one that I would place my bet on continuing higher. So while that was happening on NQ bouncing from pre-market low, ES never got down there. Instead, ES was setting new highs on the day, breaking all-time high. Now on this run up, I was looking for a pullback. We didn't get it. We didn't get a pullback to the EMA until here. But what happened here is we just closed right through it. So at this point, I was thinking to myself, well, I wouldn't mind a further pullback. I wouldn't mind a pullback and retest of the previous all-time high and the previous high day. That's the last form of structure that we have in the market for us to come back and retest. And then we also had the 48 EMA there. Additionally, it gave me a little bit better risk to reward, right? If I took a long up here, there's not really much structure to base my risk off of, and the reward to new highs or high a day is pretty minimal. So the risk to reward was just not in my favor here. So at this point, we were looking for an entry down here around the previous high of day, previous all-time high. And when price pulled back down into it and held it for 1, 2, and then on the third candle I entered long. I got a nice entry right around like 950. I placed my stop around 408, so about a little under 2 points of risk, and I placed my target at 1450, which was just the highs of these candle bodies, not quite the wicks, but the highs of the bodies up here. As I figured, with all-time highs, things can be weird. We might get close to it and then reject, so I was looking for just a move up to that area, but not quite sweeping all-time highs. We moved up initially. We kind of chopped around for a while. We moved up initially. We pumped. We reclaimed that 13 EMA, and I was waiting for us to move higher. At the same time that we're failing to make a new high on ES, NQ was making new highs here. So there's a little bit of a shift, right? ES was failing to make a new high while NQ was making new highs. And at this point, after the kind of the choppy behavior, we're a little later in the day. This was around noon, just before noon. I I don't usually trade this late, but I was just waiting for a setup, being patient, and this is kind of what I was waiting for. So we entered. Once we got a decent move to the upside, I brought my stop to within profit so that I couldn't lose on this trade, and I'm glad we did, because we failed to hit my take profit by less than a point, about half a point away, and then we dumped back down. Overall, made about 2 points or so, less than 2 points, a little over a point. So profit on the day is $62.50 across my 3 accounts. Not bad. We're over 600 on these, over 400 on this one. So we're moving in the right direction. It would have been nice. At one point I was up over 200 up here, but I wasn't going to take it. I was thinking that we would get that continuation, and which would have put me closer to like 300 on the day. So it's not a loss. It's a green day, which is a good day. I followed my rules. I was very patient. So there is a feeling of like dissatisfaction because it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, and I got really close to going the way that I wanted to, and then it broke down. So I definitely feel a little dissatisfied. I feel a little, like it was just gross price action, and I waited all this time just to get essentially a break-even trade. But I understand that those emotions, that doesn't really matter, right? In fact, if you look at what happened today, I came away with my account larger than it was yesterday. I came away with a win, albeit very small. My account still went up today, and that's going to be a win. I followed my rules, which is a win. Even if I take a loss, if I take a good trade and follow my rules, even if it stops me out, it's a good trade. If I follow my rules and it stops me out at essentially break even, it's still a good trade. So I'm going to try to shake that feeling. I always want to build my account. I want things to go right. I want to just keep making this thing happen. So, it's a little bit of a bummer when we get so close to hitting that profit and then it misses out. But that's why we protect the downside, right? Now we're dropping. It's not looking so hot. So we protected ourselves to the downside, which is great. NQ might have had a nice short opportunity here, actually. Take a look at that. Yeah, the break and retest here might have actually been a really nice entry on NQ short. But we're done for the day. We took our one trade, didn't quite play out. It's later in the day than I usually trade. So we'll just take it and move on. But that's what we were looking at. Like I said, I risked about 2 points, trying to make about 5 points. So my entry is like 950, take profit at 1450, stop around like 408. So about a 1.5 risk for about 5 points of reward, solid. Once we started moving up and looking good, I raised my stop loss to break even because I figured it's either going to happen or it's not. If it pumps up and then fails, I don't want to take a loss on that. Once I'm decently green, I will just de-risk and allow that trade to either fail to hit my take profit or hit my take profit. No loss either way. So we're trading pretty well. We're being patient. We're good risk to reward. Seems like I'm comfortable with the contract sizing. I'm not really sweating too hard in these positions, and just looking to continue this consistency. That's really all it is we found a little bit of a groove and we just want to stay in it for as long as possible. All right, that's it. One more day down. We have 3 trading days on these accounts. We're up 422 on the smallest, or on the lowest, 605 on the other 2. Not bad. Right direction. Just hope that tomorrow maybe presents a better opportunity. We'll see. I might size down a little bit tomorrow. Fridays are usually my kryptonite. But that's really all. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I'll be streaming live tomorrow to round out the week, and then I'll be back next week. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Peace.